Hey, Nick, if I was going to ask you about the game Battlegrounds, what's your reaction? Like, the first word that comes to your mind?
Like, how I feel, or like just the first thing that floats out of my mind?
First thing.
Bullshit. That's what that game is.
Okay.
It's bullshit.
All right. I think that...
So mad.
Let's get started.
I'm so mad.
Fuming. Pulsating. I can feel it. The waves through the floor right now.
The vein is popping on my forehead.
It's bulging. Hello there and welcome into Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars podcast made by fans for fans, and we don't have a budget, and that's why I have my microphone dangling by its XLR cable. I'm David Amladi, your host, and joined with me are two other of the co-hosts of this wonderful show. David Gilbert, how are we doing, my friend?
Fat and sassy tonight.
Wow, that's...
Feel like...
Oh, that's great. In the Nightwing show on top of it.
I know, right?
He's the greatest DC character there is.
My favorite.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nick, how are we feeling, man? You just had kind of a moment of rage.
The game of Battlegrounds will either make me the happiest person in the world or the angriest person, and right now I'm falling hard. That was some garbage.
He was in an open field, no one around him.
I knew he was there. Then he just popped his...
But he let him kill him.
He knew you were there too.
Yeah, he definitely he put a gap in your ass.
Oh, he was patient.
Pew.
All right, well, like I said, it was episode 16, which means that we've been doing this for like, what, 4 months now?
Yeah,
which is really exciting. That's a nice little milestone we've reached. Oh my gosh, so close to 25. That's like a real milestone people celebrate. Got a full show that we're going to dive into here. And because we...
away from 25.
I think we're going to make it.
I'm not saying we're not, but I wouldn't say we're almost at 25.
I would say like we're closer to it than further away from.
Yeah. I'll give you that.
Let's jump into Real Talk. Real Talk is the segment where we talk about all things movie related. That could be the saga films, the standalone movies, or that 2008 Clone Wars animated film that was really just the first 4 episodes of Clone Wars, and it's actually good. I went back and rewatched it.
I told you!
I've just watched
saying
it
this whole time.
I don't get it.
What?
I didn't like it. I just rewatched it.
Pop back on camera. What? You don't like it?
I didn't like it.
Why not?
I don't know. It wasn't as good as their later episodes.
Well, no, it's like the first 4. It actually makes way more sense if you watch that movie, then you go into the first season, because Ambush is like the worst episode to start a show on.
Would have helped if you told me that like a month and a half ago.
Well, I tried to, but then you fell asleep.
Probably.
All right, now we're actually going to go to the first topic. And wouldn't you know it, after much speculation and anticipation, Star Wars Episode 9 no longer has a director. Colin Trevorrow, Lucasfilm split ways. They say it's mutual, but we know better than that. It's never mutual when these things happen. Some say better now than 7 months into production like the Han Solo film. We're getting reports from a lot of different websites, citing sources. Cinema Blend, for example, says sources say that Trevorrow was difficult to work with and extremely overconfident, and those were detractors between him and Kathleen Kennedy. And, first, I say we do this in two things. First, who do we want to see direct the Episode 9?
Lord and Miller.
No. Okay,
Nope.
Do you get... Stop. No, don't do that to me. Don't... It's not even funny.
For a second,
don't
you
laugh.
thought I was serious.
I thought for a moment you were actually being serious. I'm like, no, he's just
not.
feeding me. We need to talk about who we want to see take this thing over. And really, before we do that, though, I do want to talk about why we think that Trevorrow really left the project. What really caused this split? What were the rifts? And then we'll go into who we want to see direct. So, David, first let's start with... Colin Trevorrow is such a fan favorite for a lot of folks because he had just revived the Jurassic Park franchise with Jurassic World. That was a movie that grossed more than $1 billion globally.
There's no doubt in my mind if he would have stuck around, we would have had like a visually amazing movie, which is something with lightsaber fights that I really want to see. But at the same time, you look at Jurassic World and the plot was just kind of meh. But it was beautiful. I wanted to see that finished Jurassic Park theme park, and that's what I got. So I think we would have gotten something really cool visually, but I'm kind of glad that they're trying to put more emphasis on the story. So I guess I can see why they probably ditched him if he was overconfident and creative differences.
And that's really been a theme with Lucasfilm since the Disney takeover back several years ago, is the fact that the story is first. So you see the Book of Henry come out in theaters, and it's a huge flop. And this was a passion project for Colin Trevorrow.
So you think it'd be good?
Well, you'd think. It was horrendous, though, and the box office showed that. And so, Nick, I turn my attention over to you. Is this a situation where this is, again, a passion project for Colin, where he's overconfident and he's trying to go away from the vision that Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm Story Group has? Do you think that he had to deal with he wasn't able to overcome some obstacles? He had to deal with the tragedy that was the death of Carrie Fisher.
I think it's just very much him wanting to be him. I think he wanted to make it his product, like most directors would want to make their project their project. Mm-hmm. And he might be the type of actor who is just like, I don't want to be directed. I want to be in command. And he's just like, all right, peace.
Yeah, I can get that. Here's my
That's
thing.
The vibe I get, anyway.
We've heard that there have been multiple versions of rewrites for Episode 9 ever since Carrie's passing, because she was supposed to have like this great finale in Episode 9, and you thought she was going to be one of the 3 originals to make it all the way through, and all of these rewrites. I wonder if that had a toll. We talked a couple of weeks ago how they brought in Thorne to look over the script and kind of refine it some more. And it seems like that wasn't enough. Even after he came on the project, 2 weeks later, it seems like Colin needs to go. But here's the thing. This could have happened months ago, and they're now just announcing it. Because you have to believe Lucasfilm is smart, Kathleen Kennedy is smart. You're not going to announce that you fired someone until you've got the replacement. So that leads us into the next round of questions here is, who is going to direct Episode 9? And Nick, I'm going to start with you. Since I started with David the last time, I feel like that's only fair. So, Nick, who do you think? There's a lot of directors on the table that have already touched Star Wars products, and there's directors that haven't touched Star Wars products yet.
I am very... I think I first have my list of actors. I think it would be really funny to direct Star Wars, but I never would actually want to see it.
Okay.
I mentioned it before. I think a Michael Moore Star Wars would be really, really entertaining. Very much like a, very politically focused, and they got to stop global warming on their planet. Just really big problems.
You also mentioned the bloody. Oh, who's gonna give us the bloody one?
Come on, you got it.
Oh no, come on. Who was it? Quentin Tarantino.
That was my second choice.
Okay.
For awful actors, I think would be really entertaining to see.
Wow.
Because I just think it'd be a really gory Star Wars film. It'd be pretty intense with some random rock and roll mixed in there. It'd be pretty sweet. And alternative choice, Jet Li, I think would be a very interesting.
Jet Li?
He's
He
from...
martial arts.
He's made a lot of kung fu movies about... I think it'd be... I want lightsaber fights, So I think I'd be a really well orchestrated lightsaber.
Jet Li.
Jet Li.
David, who do you want to direct?
And now we're being serious.
Oh, okay, we're being serious now.
We're being
wow,
serious.
okay, Jet...
that was the joke. What's the serious one?
I can see James Cameron.
I don't know
He's got a lot on his plate right now, so it's not going to happen, but I think it'd be a really good.
No, he's got Avatar 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Mm-hmm.
Are they doing that many?
Yeah, and he's busy till like 2025.
Yeah, I know he's booked, but I think that's kind of neat. I know which one you want, and I was going to say that too, but I'll let you have that one. I prefer Quentin Tarantino over your...
Okay, I'll give you that one. David, you want to go first or you want me to go?
You
go.
Me go?
You
okay,
go.
So do you want to say Spielberg or do you want me to say Spielberg?
I want to say Spielberg.
Okay, so I'll let you go. Because you and I talked about that the other day, and you got me thinking about it, so I'll let you talk about that. So there are 3 that really pop into my mind then that's not Spielberg. Don't look at me like that.
The more times you mention my pick, the more I'm going to get...
upset?
The more I'm going to get...
So, Guillermo del Toro would be really cool to
Okay.
see him do one of these movies, but he won't do it. He works on like 25 projects at a time, and then only like 3 of them actually hit the screen. So, what he does put out, I really love. So I'd love to see him do it. Brad Bird, do you guys know who he is? He did The Incredibles, he did Tomorrowland, he did one of the Mission Impossible movies. I think it was a Ghost Recon with Simon Pegg in it.
You would have been so good if you didn't mention Tomorrowland, because that was hot garbage.
Well...
But if you're...
But
the guy in charge of Incredibles,
He gave us The Incredibles, and right now he's doing Incredibles 2,
Yes.
which should be done filming and post-production sometime, maybe by the end of this year, which maybe he could get involved. That's like one of my favorite animated movies of all time, and he did it, and it's awesome. So he'd be a good one. And then here's one that's kind of coming out of left field for me. So on top of being a Star Wars junkie, I'm a Doctor Who fan. Mm-hmm. And the last 3 years, there's a director named Rachel Taylor. who's really just dominated the Doctor Who episodes. And when you look at what she's also done, it's been a lot of like the CW shows. So she knows the fantasy genre. She knows how to really make the stories pop, bring out the characters. And I would love to see her take on a big film like this. And that'd be like a huge promotion for her. But I think she could rock and roll.
Do you think that she could transition well from the CW and the Doctor Who genre to Star Wars? Because Doctor Who sci-fi is a little bit different than Star Wars. And by a little, I mean a multi-million-dollar difference in production quality.
Precisely. But David, you work, and what would you do if I said, hey, you could make your work better if I give you several million more dollars? You'd say, sign me up and give me the money, and you'll be able to put out a better product, right? So if she does an awesome job on peanuts and paper clips and rubber bands in her pocket, just think what she could do with like multi-million dollars to make this happen.
That's a good way of explaining Doctor Who. Okay, so my two picks are going to be, as alluded to earlier, Steven Spielberg would be fantastic. He is arguably the greatest film director of all time. Not just of our generation, all time. The guy is busy. He has 2 different projects going right now. Ready Player One is about to hit, or has hit. I think it just finished. I can't remember. Forgive me. It's late when we're recording this. But he's got Ready Player One that he's wrapping up, and he's got a couple other projects in the pipeline. He also has Indiana Jones 5 now?
5, yeah.
That rolls out that I don't think anyone's asking for. But he's doing that.
Ready Player One's in post-production.
That's what I thought, yeah.
And they have not even started pre-production for Indiana Jones.
Is the Halo thing listed on there? Because he was working on
As a director?
That's been talked about for years.
He's been working... They claim it's not been canceled.
In his IMDb credits, there's a TV series for Halo where he's exec producer, and that's been announced. But that's about it.
We're still waiting on that one. But for now, you can play with your action figure. I don't think Steven's going to work, though, because I just don't think he would do that based on his friendship with George Lucas. I would make the argument that he could do Episode 9 as a tribute to his friend, you know? And I think it'd be really cool to see Spielberg do that. I don't know if Steven would want to play in that world that he didn't get to create.
What do you think a Michael Bay movie would look like for Star Wars?
I mentioned that last time we kind of discussed this. For for this movie, but for the whole other dumpster fire was happening.
There is a video floating around the internet that I've seen that's like Michael Bay Star Wars.
Where just everything explodes? Everything
just explodes, and there's just... it's every CG robot scene and explosions.
I can just imagine that. Hey, we got a love scene to shoot. Get the thermal detonators.
I still think a Jet Li lightsaber scene would be pretty legit, though.
A lot of limbs are lost in that, though. A lot of limbs. And then you have Anakin, like, appear as a ghost and just be like, I thought I had it bad. Another idea that I had, and a lot of people have had this, is what if Episode 9 was the first saga film with a female director? I think this would be a great thing to do. It would be continuing with that, I don't want to say transition, but that evolution of Star Wars storytelling. You know, we're trying to get more women involved in the storylines. We're trying to get more diversity in the storylines. We're going to talk about diversity a few times in this show, but Ava DuVernay would be a good option, I think, to do Episode 9 based on her relationship with J.J. Abrams.
Who's that?
Ava DuVernay. She is the one that, Selma was her big film.
Oh, okay.
And then she's done a few other things. She just wrapped that Wrinkle in Time.
Yep.
She's doing that live action thing. I think that's also a Disney movie. It's a Disney book. So she has experience with larger budget films. But like I was saying just a couple seconds ago, is she has a relationship with J.J. Abrams. She actually worked with J.J. on the script, helping flush out a few scenes. He has even said she would be a great director to direct a Star Wars film. So I would be interested in seeing that. Another name that I'm seeing out there a lot is Patty Jenkins, which seems like a very obvious name because of Wonder Woman. I don't think that's going to happen because one... they're trying to line her up for Wonder Woman 2.
And she's a WB kind of... She's hooked by Warner Brothers already, right?
I would, yeah. I'm sure there's maybe some contractual things there. But at the same time, I think she can put on hold the Wonder Woman 2 thing if she's being offered a Star Wars film.
Well, IMDb's only got her for a TV miniseries in pre-production right now.
Right, they haven't officially said they got her contracted for the second Wonder Woman yet.
They'd be foolish not to, though.
They would be, but If she directed a Star Wars film, who knew? I could really see her doing a standalone in the future if she didn't get a saga film. But those are our picks. I guess before we move on to the last topic, when do you think we will get announced the director of episode 9? And keep in mind, we have just gone around the table. We have collectively suggested, 8, 9 directors? And we didn't mention Rian Johnson. We didn't mention J.J. Abrams except for when we were talking about Ava DuVernay.
I don't want Abrams to come back.
Why don't you want J.J.?
He did his one.
Yeah.
But he did his one.
He did his one.
I don't need him to do another.
He did a great job for a lot of people of reintroducing the Star Wars story and bringing us back to that galaxy. He put his staple. He did his signature JJ type things with his movie.
I think since they've already announced his departure, and they have not announced his replacement, I think they might be leading up to a Johnson announcement once he gets done with this movie. Yeah. Because it seems like the cast and crew love him. It seems like he hasn't let as much of the plotline leak as Abrams kind of let leak. So it's been a lot tighter of a ship that he's been running. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do hear a Johnson announcement probably as we get closer to the release of his movie.
Nick, do you think we have Johnson get episode 9 after directing episode 8, even though we have not yet seen what Johnson has done with episode 8? Do we think that's what happens?
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I mean, if it's good. I mean, it entirely depends. I think if he would be selected, it would probably be noted probably before 8 comes out to theaters. Mm-hmm. I think we would know by then, but I don't know. I think if they do announce it, it would create more buzz for 8, knowing like, hey, if he's being dropped, it must be good enough.
Mm-hmm. So it has to happen sooner or later. Do you think it happens before or after we get the next trailer for Last Jedi?
Are we ever going to get a trailer for Last Jedi?
You would think it's coming up. I'm thinking it's got to be... I think they're going to tie it in with the NFL season. I think they're going to do it pretty soon.
You got to do something. No idea.
No idea? Dave?
I think they'll wait until after. They're not on a time crunch.
Well, they kind of are. I mean...
When would they start, actually shooting for it? Next year?
Yeah, I mean, this movie is supposed to come out in, let's see, it's 18, so this would come out in 20?
So we have 2.5 years.
Well, okay.
Well, I guess it depends. Are they going to have whoever comes in as the new director also be a writer for it? Or is he going to get handed a script? Because if they're going to have
those are the details that we don't know, because they're still working on the script. And I imagine if you bring in a new director, they're going to want to have some influence on that script.
Because if they don't have to have an influence on the script, they can wait until almost the time they start shooting to bring someone in, can't they? If they've already got it written and storyboarded, they just need somebody to come in and do the legwork.
Technically, so it'd be interesting, especially if they did bring Rian Johnson in, because there were always rumors that he had helped form a treatment for 9, even though that he hasn't said anything recently about it. It would be interesting. I'm kind of thinking that Rian Johnson is Disney's #1 pick right now, but we will see. I think we're going to find out within the next 3 weeks. I think we're going to get a trailer soon. Mm-hmm. I think they have the trailer, and then, hey, oh, by the way, this is our director for episode 9.
I can't believe they don't have a trailer yet. I feel like we're getting pretty late. I mean, it's already September.
But I'm thinking the trailer is just going to be that good, though. I think it's going to be that good.
I don't think it needs to be good. They just need to throw Star Wars out there, and people will go see it.
I think so. I mean, I think one thing is this movie is just never... It's not going to be as big as Force Awakens at the theater. It's not going to come anywhere close to Force Awakens numbers.
You don't think?
I don't think so. No.
Really?
Think of all the hype that they did, all the marketing they did for Force Awakens. They're not even coming close to that with this movie.
But they don't.
And just like you mentioned,
they've had 2 straight years of fantastic Star Wars numbers and promotion and Star Wars Celebration and E3s.
I know, and it could all go down the toilet with Han Solo and May. Let's jump to the next topic. That was a lot of great conversation. My goodness, that was a lot of fun. It's so great when we can come to the table like that and when we have all these different ideas. Like I said, 9 different directors that we brought to the table that Disney can choose from, and we all know that there's more directors they can pick. I would love to see that Jet Li Star Wars film. That would be really enjoyable.
I know, right?
Thor comes out in October. Marvel
Thor
movie.
does.
Or
November
do you really-
4th. That's
November
too late.
4th. Do you
That's
think
a month out.
Do you think the trailer is before that?
That's
It's
the
gotta be
only
before.
thing that makes sense.
That's 5 weeks before the movie release.
Right, but is that too? That's too close,
So
right?
is it a launch trailer as opposed to a teaser?
What production company is doing that other comic book one, Kingsman, Golden Circle? Is that's not a Disney?
It's not 20th Century.
There's too much like blood and cursing for Disney.
Maybe.
Who's doing that one?
You look that up. We're going to go to the next topic. Next topic on Real Talk on this episode 16. Empire's full cover story on Star Wars The Last Jedi hit bookshelves with a really cool cover with Rey and Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. And our buddies over at StarWarsNewsNet.com did a great summarization of the inside content. Our buddy John Huey was the guy who wrote the Star Wars Newsnet.com article, so we want to give him a shout out. He's always nice and tweets at us once in a while, and they are responsible for a few of our stories coming up, so we want to let you know they are the best Star Wars aggregator online. You definitely need to check them out. And what we get in this story is incredible behind the scenes. David was saying right before we recorded, we could have done an entire episode just on this article, all the content that Empire released, because you get a lot of great behind the scenes stuff, and some of it we've already heard from. You know, we've heard Mark Hamill talking about how he's had to come around about the formation and the development of Luke Skywalker, and we've had to learn about, you know, Carrie Fisher and what role she plays in Episode 8, and what Poe is doing in Episode 8. But the things that I liked about learning in this one was new environments. Rian Johnson in here was talking about how he wanted to find, you know, the Monte Cristo
Canto Bight
of the Star Wars, of the Star Wars galaxy, and talking about Canto Bight, and you know, another planet that's going to be new at Crate. That's going to be here in this Last Jedi. I like hearing him talk about new environments because that was a big deal for George Lucas, right? Every film in the original trilogy, he wanted at least 3 unique environments the characters would have to traverse through, and I just think that's really cool that from that consistency standpoint, I think visually expanding what the Star Wars galaxy looks like.
And I love how he described Canto Bight as like Mos Eisley, but with a bunch of rich jerks.
Right.
To me, that's just beautiful.
Instead of a bunch of poor jerks.
Right. Yep.
David, when you read this story, what was the thing that really stuck out to you, that really excited you about this story? Because this is now the 3rd major publication to release a full story on Last Jedi.
Once again, we come back to the same thing that we keep hearing over and over and over again, that when Johnson got hired onto this role, there was not a big map in his terminology of what this movie had to be. That he was given a script to Episode 7 and said, here, read this, or go watch the movie and build your story from there. He said that he went and talked to Abrams and saw some raw footage to see kind of what was going on, but once again, we're hearing more and more that they're taking a lot of the creative control and throwing it in the hands of the creative people, and I love that. And we've seen a lot of stuff come out already that gets me really excited. We've seen imagery, we've seen new aliens, we've seen the Porgs. I'm stoked. So, just lots of great stuff.
At this point, how excited you get when you still mention the word Porg is a little worrisome for me.
The table's not lifting too much anymore, but
I just bought the stuffed animal Porg. He's so cute.
Did you buy it?
No.
Oh, I won't.
I thought you just said you bought one.
No,
You didn't?
I know it exists. I just have to buy it.
If I can find one, we didn't see it at Force Friday at the Walmart.
Right.
So I got my eyes open. If I find one, I'll pick one up for you because I want one.
You guys were supposed to make pork potatoes for the episode. You never did that.
No, we didn't.
You guys are ridiculous.
Boy.
Hey, Nick, so inside the story, one of the things that he's also alluding to is the fact that, you know, Luke is here on this island, he's all by himself, yada, 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 and his X-Wing is rusting. There's actually a Topps trading card that's been released where the X-Wing, Luke's X-Wing is, submerged under the water of Ahch-To, I'm sorry, and you are our resident, I don't know how to word, but you keep seeing the similarities between The Last Jedi and Empire Strikes Back. You are our resident curmudgeon about The Last Jedi. That's what we'll call you. And when you see
I even have to say it?
when you see the X-Wing submerged,
do I even have to say it?
are we going to see a throwback to the Yoda scene where he brings it up out of the water?
It's not gonna be him. He's gonna make Rey do it. That's gonna be her test. Guaranteed.
If he makes her do that, then she also has to run around with Luke on her back in a piggyback.
I would love
That
that.
would be kind of interesting.
Actually, you know what would be funnier, and this is not going to happen, but she throws him over her shoulder, and she's just dragging him, his feet's dragging on and he's like, yeah, that would be good. That would be fun.
Well, it's in 7, you had like the cool reveal is the word I'm looking for, of the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
You had like that piece where they went back to the old like original trilogy music. Like that's gonna happen with the X-Wing reveal. It's just gonna be like, oh hey, and then there's the X-Wing, and then that's gonna be part of it. And again, the similarities keep.
The parallels, they exist.
I'm not happy about it.
Now, did you see all of the stuff that he talked about in the article about how he came to the decisions he made on Luke? That he kind of started in the process of, like, how did Luke get to this planet by himself? And he basically says that in his mind, Luke isn't a chicken shit, so it wasn't that he just ran away. I use the word chicken shit, not Johnson.
Technically 2 words.
But, I don't know, maybe it's hyphenated. But he comes to the thought of, like, why is he here? So he's trying to find a purpose for him to be on Ahch-To, which to me is kind of exciting, because that was my worry, is that he got really upset, and he's just like, I'm going to take my ball and go home. But he didn't.
I'm really hoping the fact that, in the one shot we see in the trailer that we do have, it's those books, and it looks like maybe those books are on a forest tree, and so it'd be really cool if we find him at Ahch-To and we learn that he's maybe been learning about afterlife through the Force. He's been looking through old Jedi journals. Maybe we get to see a forest tree in the movie.
Old Jedi journals?
Yeah, for example, if you're reading
Yoda's private diary.
Well, no, but Obi-Wan had a journal. You know that because we've read the comics, the main Star Wars line in the Marvel comics right now. Luke finds Obi-Wan's journal and finds out he's reading, and it's actually instructions from Yoda. He doesn't know it, but yeah, those books, actual books, exist in Star Wars. We've never seen them until now. They have pages. I did see that. I thought it was awesome. That was a nice little breakdown from you. What I really enjoyed was getting his viewpoint of the fact that he's directing the middle of the trilogy, right? So what's easier? Is it easier to direct the first movie of the trilogy because there's no expectations and you get to set the stage and you get the most freedom?
You get to introduce everybody.
Right.
Where now everybody's already introduced. What do you do next?
Right. So what do you do next? And now this is like the darker one, right? And everyone has the personal journeys. And so you've introduced all the characters. So in the second one, now you have to take them to that next step. And it seems like Rian really enjoyed that challenge. And in there, he's saying, I'm taking this quote, it's the second movie of the trilogy, so it's easy to draw parallels to Empire in terms of a darker feel. We dig into the characters, we're going to challenge them, and things are going to get tough for everybody, but I don't want this to go too dark. One of the things I drew from JJ's film was a sense of fun and playfulness that's as much Star Wars as I Am Your Father. You know what we haven't heard about in the last 3.5 months?
Hux?
Well, Hux, no one cares about Hux. But,
when
he's talking about I Am Your Father, here's the thing. There was rumored to be a reveal in The Last Jedi that is going to be surpassing the Vader reveal, and we're not hearing anything of that anymore. We haven't heard that in months.
How can anything surpass that?
I don't know, and I don't think that should ever be the goal. You know what I'm saying? I think that you're never going to top that moment in Star Wars. That's one of the most incredible cinematic moments in cinematic history. No matter if you're a Star Wars fan or not, I'm sorry. That I Am Your Father, that's a moment in Star Wars history, in film history.
Yep.
All right, cool. I feel good about that.
But what about General Hux? Because seriously, we haven't talked about him at all.
I hope they kill him. Kill him.
I kind of liked him.
He's a terrible character. Oh, the First Order leadership is hot garbage.
I liked him better than I liked Phasma. I don't get it.
He just seemed like a spoiled private school kid that got power.
Bring back Krennic.
Bring back Krennic. Damn right. The next topic in Real Talk is going to keep us on Rian Johnson. He did a interview with the New York Times a little while ago, and again, thanks to our friends at Star Wars Newsnet.com for bringing this to our attention. He talks about a few things in here that I really enjoyed. First was his relationship with Luke and Leia, but more interestingly, and again, we're starting to hear kind of the same things in these interviews, how the two interact and where, what's their purpose in this movie moving forward. Leia's guiding the Resistance, Luke is lost in himself, but Rian Johnson identifies The Last Jedi, and he's talking about how the title, he's like, it's right there in the crawl.
He's not trying to pull a fast one on us, right?
Right now, Luke is the last Jedi, and it's up to Luke whether or not he's going to try again and teach what he knows, or he will let the Jedi Order die in him. And so I thought that was really interesting. David, what did you think?
I mean, once again, he just goes on and on about how much creativity he's had in this whole process, and he just must be a kid in the candy shop. I mean, he gets to write the stories that are challenging. He gets to take the characters that were created by Abrams and really flesh them out. He just must be the luckiest director in Hollywood right now.
Especially if he gets episode 9 handed to him.
Yep.
Nick, what do you think? Rian Johnson, do we believe in him?
I mean, I feel like he seems very passionate, which is good. I mean, which you should be for owning this type of series. And again, from everything I've heard, we haven't heard any bad stuff coming out of 8 in terms of any like drama on set. Or we haven't heard anything. We haven't heard anything. Period. Really, it's been so locked down. Which one I think is awesome because it shows that they have respect for him as a director. I feel like everybody on staff is like respecting him as a director, wants to like let him be in control of releasing information or whatever. And obviously we haven't heard any bad things coming out of it. So I mean, I think the set, it's got to be fun to work around. He's got to be fun to work around. He's talking about creative control, how he has control. He's got to have a lot of fun doing this movie. I have the most faith, I think, in him than I have in any other Star Wars film in terms of directors so far. So I'm feeling really, really confident about this movie.
I'm with you because you bring up a good point. There were writing issues that we had with Force Awakens. We had to bring on Lawrence Kasdan to help flush that stuff out. Rogue One, we had the infamous reshoots that everyone freaked out about. Turned out to be a good thing. Obviously, we know about the Han Solo conundrum. We don't have a director right now for Last Jedi. Or for episode 9, Last Jedi really is the bright spot right now, and I'm excited to see it. And it kind of wrapped this whole directing thing. I think ultimately, after we've talked about it now on the show, I really think Rian Johnson is our guy to get that episode 9 and really just close out this saga. I don't think there's really anyone better to do it. Let's jump into.
As long as it doesn't suck.
Well, isn't that the disclaimer for everything, right? As long as it doesn't suck. Hey, you know what better not suck? The Han Solo movie, because God, we've been talking about it long enough. I think we've been talking about this movie long enough for it to be like hot garbage and then be the best thing ever.
Are we talking about this again?
Well, okay, but here's the thing, though. We talked about it last week. Nick, you were gone. Jesse was on the show. And we were talking about how we really do feel like we are coming around on this Han Solo movie more and more. We're seeing some positive things. No? Was that just me?
That's just you.
Definitely just you.
Really?
Just you.
I constantly make fun of it the whole time.
Everyone's freaking out right now because they're talking about how the Millennium Falcon's going to have a new paint job.
Yeah.
Which, it's not... If you're being overly critical and a huge... If I had glasses, I'd push my glasses up. It's not really a new paint job, right? Because this is technically a prequel era movie.
That's where you're taking this?
Yeah, I'm taking this. So, yeah, the Millennium Falcon's going to have blue stripes on it. And everyone's...
badass, by the way.
Everyone's freaking out about it like, oh my god, they're doing this, it's such a bad... There's people complaining about it. It's like, what's the problem? You're taking this script back 15 years maybe. It should look new. It still looks rough.
It has to look different, I think. It definitely has to have a distinguishing look to it. Like, I definitely agree that there has to be a difference to it to really separate it. Plus, I'm sure Disney loves it because then, hey, we get to sell new merchandise with a new paint job.
You know what would be so convenient? And they came out with another Lego Millennium Falcon, and this one had blue stripes on it. Wouldn't that be fun, everybody?
The new biggest Lego set for $1,500. It's as big as your living room.
I'm not going to let this go. Go ahead.
Did you see that, like, right after they announced all the Disney Lego stuff, that Lego laid off 1,400 employees?
Yeah, that's a lot.
Maybe if they didn't charge $800 for a Lego set that we've seen 5 previous times,
Yep.
it wouldn't happen. Oh, man. And I got lit up on... I got lit up on the internet about this.
I know.
This guy ripped me a new one saying, he's like, you didn't know your stuff right. I'm like, dude, you only watched the first 60 seconds. Watch the whole thing again.
I loved your response to him, though. That was just, it was classy. Like, I imagine you, like, typing with your finger, your pinky out, just like,
I was really PO. No, he was, like, criticizing us because he said Jesse said something wrong. You said, he didn't mention you at all, actually. He said I said a lot of things wrong.
That's why I don't read any of the comments.
But I was right. Oh, because you don't want your feelings hurt?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm that dick who will, I will take the time to respond back to your taunts. If you're that kind of guy who likes to respond back to taunts, you comment below and let us know what you think. I think it's a good thing. I'm excited to see this movie. I'm more excited, I think, if anything, I want to see Lando fly the Falcon, because that's something that I've never seen, and maybe we get to see that game of Sabacc. I think it's going to be a good time.
It looks very prequel to me, which I'm kind of okay with.
It should.
Because, like, it's not like they went overboard by painting the whole thing. I mean, there's, like, arrows, and they kind of use, like, that muted color, like the muted red that they had on the Jedi Starfighter, so... I can be okay with this, I think.
I think it was cool. Like, honestly, I think it was cool.
I think it looks fun, and especially with Lando Calrissian in the cockpit. I'm just really excited. That's that is the one element that I want to see in this movie. So hopefully it delivers.
Hopefully it doesn't suck.
If you like the look of this new ship, and I forget to mention it sometimes, but if there's anything we've talked about so far on the show that you've really enjoyed or you disagree with, be sure you comment below right now or hit us on Twitter at BTBD_podcast. Hashtag beyondtheblastdoors, and we'll take a look, and we'll follow up with you next week on that stuff. Did you just spill on the mixer?
No.
No, how did you drop the minifigure?
We lost.
John fell.
Yep.
All right.
Is he saving a horse and riding a laptop?
Yeah,
Is that how that song goes?
As long as I hope he's wearing a cup. Okay, hey, so the last topic of Real Talk on this episode 16 is Netflix will not be getting future Star Wars or Marvel films as Disney will begin its own streaming service in late 2019.
Woo! More subscriptions for me to buy! Woo!
So tell me why you're not happy about this.
So I already have a Hulu Live, so I can watch live TV, because I'm too cheap to buy cable. I already have Netflix to watch every other thing that's not on Hulu. I have Amazon Prime to watch everything that's not on those too. I'm paying more for all these stupid subscription services than I would if I just had cable. I'm mad.
You know what's awesome is I made that point like 2 weeks ago, and Jesse was like, "Oh no, that's not right. It's still going to be cheaper."
Well, I mean, here's the current.
It's not going to be cheaper. It's going to be. This is not going to be. It's going to be like a $20 service.
It depends on what you buy. I mean, here's the thing. Like, you go back 15 years, like when we were in high school and college, this is what we wanted. We wanted the cable companies to stop bundling bullshit together and selling it to us. We wanted just the stuff we wanted to buy. Well, then we got spoiled with Netflix, and now everybody else sees the money that Netflix has. So, like 10 years ago, we were literally asking people to only give us the stuff we wanted to watch. Now they're giving it to us that way, and now we're all pissed off because we've been so lucky with Netflix and Hulu. It's only a matter of time before they'd figure out how to, like, screw us all again.
It's just annoying.
How many users? Okay, so there's this thing on the.
I say that bitching and moaning, and I still bootleg my college roommate's Netflix. So, I mean, I guess.
Well, moment of honesty.
I guess I can't complain too much, but.
Well, here's my thing. I read a story. I should have pulled it up earlier before the show, but something like 14 million users is what Disney needs to break even on having its own streaming service.
You know they'll get that.
I don't.
14 million?
I'm not
worldwide.
I mean, like, I think it would be slow to grow. I just don't know. There's not enough on Disney that makes me want it that bad.
But you think about it. If you have a Disney streaming service and you take everything from the Disney Channel, the Hannah Montanas, the High School Musical,
you're like 10 years out of date.
You take all of that stuff. You take the Disney XD. You take all of the movies that are the animated. I mean, they have a huge catalog with all of their media, and they also own properties like ESPN. So you throw like sports highlights on there. You could easily make this thing just ginormous.
No one's really gone in that direction.
Wonderful
if they would
World
lump sports on there.
You can have sports. You can have Wonderful World of Disney. You can have all of the shows like Once Upon a Time. I mean, there's so much.
You put CNN and like ABC on that too, aren't they?
I don't know. I was under the impression this would just be like their movies and animated stuff.
And it could be that, but you can see how their properties are so huge that all it takes for them is to throw just something at it, and then bam, it explodes.
I think what's going to happen, and when we talked about this a few weeks earlier on the podcast, is that I think what they're going to do is in 2019 we're going to get a live-action Star Wars series. That's going to be a Netflix caliber series, but it's going to be on their streaming, and it's only going to be available on the streaming product. So you have to subscribe to get the episodes. I think that's what's going to happen. Because what else is there to entice you?
The Clone War episodes that they didn't release.
That's not going to happen because those episodes aren't even fully animated. But I really think that's going to be the pool. It's for Star Wars fans. It's going to be, hey, you subscribe and you're going to have access to this live action series. I think parents are going to get it, and I think about it more. You're probably right. They're probably going to get that subscriber count, but that's just to break even.
They'll hit it.
That's crazy because it's Disney and they own so much.
So Pixar, Lucas, Marvel, Disney Music, Disney Theater, Disney Studios. Oh God,
it's a lot.
They own a shit ton of properties, and this is really the best move that they can do.
You know what?
I get it. I said this before with the Disney or the convention for the Star Wars kind of whatever.
Yeah, D23. Yeah.
I said I get it. but I hate it.
Right.
I don't have to like it. I get it, but I don't have to like it.
It would have been better if they could have just bought Netflix, but they weren't able to. And so here's the next best thing. We'll do it ourselves.
They own a Hulu?
And Disney's big enough to do it.
They have 30% partnership with Hulu.
See, I see this.
So why go do your own thing? Why not just retrofit Hulu to meet your demands?
They only own 30% of it. But.
See, I could see this really hurting Netflix. Because if you take all the Disney stuff off Netflix, they're already losing all the BBC stuff to their BritBox channel. I could see them taking all the CW shows that they have and putting that on the new DC platform that they're creating with this new Titan show. So, I mean, Netflix right now is really riding on this new content that they're pumping out.
All their original content has to like be at par or better.
They take all their ABC content too. I mean, they could take all the ABC stuff. I mean, you're talking is NCIS, that's
CBS.
Yeah, but I mean, all the ABC shows.
Yeah,
that's a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it. Make it stop.
Well, if you don't like it, or maybe you do like it, be sure you let us know in the comments below, or hit us up on Twitter. That's going to do it for Real Talk. Real Talk, that's brought to you by the three people at this table, because we're the ones that find all the topics and we talk about it. Thanks again to StarWarsNewsNet.com and all the other folks out there who write the stories originally, and then we just take it as show prep. There we go. Mm-hmm. All right, so Pages, Pixels, and Pieces, that's the next segment.
GoPro?
Of
partnership with GoPro?
There was GoPro?
Apparently. There's so many things here.
Guys, let's just face it. Disney just owns 66.6% of the world.
They can just take 66.6% of my paycheck, and I'd be perfectly happy.
That's pathetic. Pages, Pixels, and Pieces is the next segment on this show. Man, that was awesome. That was a lot of content we got.
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader. Number 5 hits the shelves. Yep. And I don't want to get too spoilery, but we do know that Vader bleeds a crystal. He got the crystal in episode 4, in the issue 4, and now he comes back and he bleeds the crystal. And David, what are your reactions to it?
I can't say anything because you don't want me to get spoilery.
Well, you can get a little spoilery.
Just a little spoilery?
Yeah.
So, the artwork is still beautiful.
Yeah.
And the artwork really sells me on this piece because this is where we see all that pain, all that emotion, all that anger get pumped into this crystal. And in fact, he even has like this little... I guess I'd call it a vision, where what if he rejects bleeding this crystal and he goes and kills the Emperor and tries to get redeemed by Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then he kind of snaps at him and says, no, this is bullshit, this is all my pain and anger, this is everything I've got, and it's badass. So then at the very end, my favorite panel is when he's showing back up. He takes 2 of the Praetorian Guard, Red Guard, throws them against the window. The Emperor says to Tarkin, get out, and... Emperor says, apprentice, and Vader lights up his red lightsaber and says, master. And it's just, I love it.
Okay, all right. Where's
Beautiful.
the napkins?
Yep.
No, that was great. That was
bounty paper towels.
I can't do a better breakdown of that. That was really fantastic. If you're not reading the Darth Vader series already, our buddy Alex the Comic Hoarder hit me up on Facebook and was saying how much he loved the 5th issue. And now he just wants to get his hands on anything Star Wars. Follow Alex's example. Follow David's example. These are guys that are comic book fans, but they're recently starting their journey with the Star Wars comics, and they're absolutely loving it. Darth Vader, this Charles Soule run, is my favorite Star Wars comics that I've ever read, and we're only 5 issues deep. Keep in mind, I love the Gillen run in 2015, that 25-issue series. We got volume 1 and 2 right here on the table. Love those comics. These first 5 are just killer. Now here's a comic that I'm not as big of a fan of. Captain Phasma number 1. It's told. I can't even describe how it's told. It's like data readings. It feels like it's been narrated. Like the comic is narrated, and I think the art is kind of not great. I don't know. It really disappointed me. I read it, and she kind of escaped. It's kind of like how she survives the whole. It's how she survives. Damn it, Starkiller Base. I can't think of my words.
She's basically like recounting the story of what happened, so they can like debrief the situation later, right?
Right, and then so there is like this other trooper, this spy, and she's trying to track him down, and she escapes the chamber, and she escapes Starkiller Base, and she tracks him down through the woods, and she apparently is like within yards of Kylo Ren and Rey battling, and she ends up getting on a TIE fighter and blasting off the base. And the way that it's written, like it's like her like entering this, like, what, you know, like her account of what happened for the records, and I didn't like it. I'm usually a really big fan of comics that are like heavy on the text, but I just wasn't into it. I thought I just don't think I'm getting what I wanted out of this comic that I thought I was going to get, which was maybe background. I don't know. I don't know. I'm disappointed.
I've never seen the appeal of Phasma that you guys do.
Because it's a badass character that got misused, and I was hoping they would flush him out. I just picked up the Phasma novel from Barnes & Noble. I'm going to start reading that. And that's going to be the origin story and how she has a foe named Cardinal, a red trooper. And it'll be interesting to kind of uncover what significance that character has to her. If you like Phasma, then go ahead and read it because it's Phasma content. But I'm not probably going to continue reading this miniseries. I really have no interest in it. I think if I'm investing money right now in Star Wars comics, it's the Darth Vader series. And then it's the main line of Star Wars and in trade form. Just because right now they're closing in on issue 40. I think they're on 38, going on 39, and trade is probably the best rule of thumb there. No update with Battlefront 2 right now. I know that there was a beta.
No.
There was like some beta information came out, but it's pretty much everything we've seen with E3 and all that fun stuff.
It's a lot of fun. Really looking forward to that one.
Here's my question. So you're you love Halo. You played a lot of Halo in your life. I played a lot of Battlefront. Well, we both played a lot of Battlefront. I don't know where I'm going with this. Here's my thing. So they have this book to complement the game, Inferno Squad. I'm 7 chapters into it so far, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm feeling like, you know, it's kind of interesting how like a guy can relate to a female character, but like I'm like really enjoying the development of that character and how the story is progressing so far. Is it some like did Halo have that? Like, were the books supportive of the game? Like, did that help you enjoy your in-game experience? Or do you just kind of keep them as two separate things?
It gives you more background, because the books themselves are never what the games are about. There's always a totally different storyline. They're always, I mean, they're in the same universe, obviously, and like the same characters sometimes, but it really just kind of fills in gaps. It doesn't really, if you're just a player, it means nothing. But if you like the story, it just provides so much just wealth of information. Like, for one of the best examples is, like, the Halo series, you're thrown into the year 2552, and then it goes through, like, basically, the Halos 1, 2, and 3, that's, like, a 6-month time frame.
Yeah.
Well, the whole, like, Halo series goes back, like, hundreds of years, and you're talking, like, it takes off in like the year 2080 is when like the humans start colonizing, and then the first contact with the aliens happens. Covenant happened in 2525, which is like 25 years before the first game. So like one of the best books, Contact Harvest. It's a whole story about the civil war that goes on in the galaxy at the same time, and then the first contact with the aliens and how they all kind of how the stories collide. It's just really. I love that. I was actually reading it again, so it's so good. I mean, it doesn't complement the game in regard to, like, you need it to, like, know more about it. It just, if you want to know more about the story, it provides so much more background.
I think what Nick just said, along with that great retelling of the history of Halo, that's a bonus.
I made a timeline video on it. It's got a lot of views on YouTube. Check it out. Halo Human Timeline.
Oh, hey, there you go. But that's how I feel about this this Inferno Squad book. What I really enjoy about it is it's setting up the game. So we're starting back prior to the Battle of Yavin, like right before the Battle of Yavin, and you're getting to learn about Iden Versio, and you learn that her father is a high-ranking leader in the Empire. Mom was a propaganda artist. She drew the propaganda that circulated for the Empire on all the homeworlds. And what she would do is she would take a culture and she would create propaganda that the people there would appreciate because it was influenced by their culture.
Propaganda like it's a bad thing. I mean, the Empire did nothing wrong, David. What are you trying to imply? That they were trying to, like, twist the media?
Possibly.
Fake news.
Fake news.
Fake news.
Fake news. But I'm really enjoying it. And I don't think it's going to enhance my in-game experience because we know that the video game itself is going to take us. We're going to play in the Return of the Jedi era. We're going to see the second Death Star blow up. We're going to see some storytelling happen in the sequel trilogy era. but I'm really enjoying learning about Aiden and her group, her Inferno Squad, and the first couple of missions they go on to. It's a really exciting read. So maybe you're not a comic book fan, but you do like the novels. Definitely go ahead and pick up Inferno Squad. I had started out on the audiobook with Janina Gavankar doing the voice work for, and it's really incredible. You can really hear her passion in that. But now I'm transferring back over to the hardback book. So check that out if you want. And with that, we're going to jump into Stash It or Blast It, moving right along here. And you know what? We talked about diversity earlier on the podcast, and here we are, again, diversity, making itself possibly known in the Star Wars world, because a Star Wars novel now hints that Laura Dern's character in The Last Jedi might be gay. Leia, Princess of Alderaan, is the third book of the new canon by Claudia Gray, who is probably the best writer that Star Wars has right now for its canon work. She's just incredible. Lost Stars, Bloodlines, and now Leia, her third book. Really great stuff. But the book takes place prior to New Hope, and it's like Leia in her formative years, and it introduces Leia and Emmeline Holdo together. They've known each other since teenagers, and there's like this dialogue that they share. And, it's not like, Vice Admiral Holdo comes out and says, I'm a bisexual. It's not like that. But it's it's implied. Here, I'll read the text. It's like, here it is. Okay, so a pair of, this is like just an excerpt from the book. A pair of pretty dark eyes. Then Emmeline thought about that for a moment, or more than a pair if you're in a Grans, or Aqualish, or Tulls, or even, well, that's all right, Leia says through laughter. It's just humanoid males for me. And then Holdo says, really? That's so limiting. Thank goodness it's a big galaxy. So everyone's like, oh, she's bisexual. To me, it sounds like she likes like different species, which, maybe Holdo gets down with a Twi'lek. I don't know. That would be something that I don't want to see on the screen in a Star Wars movie.
What is that thing in
What?
Episode 7, the weird thing everyone hates? What is it called?
The Wrath Stars?
No.
What scene?
No, I'm thinking Rogue One. Never mind. The thing.
With tubes?
Yeah, what is that thing called?
Two tubes?
No, I don't know.
The Bugo?
Oh, wait, Borgullet?
Borgullet.
That thing. I don't know. I don't know. It's not that word.
I don't think Holdo's going to hook up with Borgullet. So, I guess kind of just getting back to the main point of this whole thing is, do we think that, what is your reaction to the fact that this might be a factor in The Last Jedi? Should it be a factor?
I don't want them to make her gay just to have a gay character. I don't want her bisexuality to be what defines this character. Mm-hmm. I hope she plays a bigger role than just being diversity. Diversity. Yeah,
I think, some people make the argument in just like real life. It's like, don't let your sexuality define you. You are your person, and that's just one of the aspects of who you are as a person. The one thing that I've always appreciated about Star Wars storytelling is the fact that like romance and sexuality and all that stuff was never like a driving force in the stories. Like it was always like a subplot, right? So in the original trilogy, the whole point was Luke had to learn to train and be a Jedi, but you also had Han and Leia slowly developing this relationship.
And that weird scene where Leia kisses Luke,
Well, incest. The late 70s was an interesting time in American pop culture.
Thrones.
Yeah, baby. Nick, what's your reaction to this?
I mean, whatever. I mean, I'm all for whatever. I mean, like, I don't. It's not gonna it's not.
Should it be a big deal?
I think the problem is we live in a society right now where
it's all sex.
It has to be a big deal.
It has to be sexy and about sex.
It has to be like everyone has to talk about everything. Everything has to be controversial. Everyone has to be offended by everything. It's just not a big deal.
I'm offended by that statement.
What it is. I don't get why everyone cares about every little thing.
I would rather this be where this admiral is a double agent, and that's what I want. And that's all I want discussed about. I don't want anything else. Maybe maybe it's a thing where she has a former lover beside her or something. That's one thing. But like I really just want her to be that double agent that it's rumored to be. She's someone that we can't trust. And I would rather that just be what she's known for. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's a book. Maybe, as we get further in this Leia book, maybe we'll learn more about it. But I don't know. I'm sure there's fan fiction out there somewhere that could hook her up with Leia, and that could be a really good time.
What if the reveal in 8 is that Poe's a double agent?
We've talked about this.
What?
I know. I've that was my whole...
With Vice Admiral Holdo?
No, just...
So this is just a random thought you're throwing in the show.
You're talking about double agent. It
okay.
popped in my mind. And we talked about I don't know. I just thought about that because I talked about it a lot when the posters reveal. I think the posters reveal that he's double agent. But what if that's the reveal they're talking about? Is that big enough?
No, to Vader's "I'm your father." No,
that's what I mean. But like, what if that's what they're mentioning?
That's like that'd be a huge goose egg.
Agreed.
That'd be a letdown. But you know what's not a letdown? Cosplay Cantina. That's the next segment.
Cool.
Of the show.
Segue.
Excellent.
We're waiting, finalizing that interview with Rebecca, who is our August recipient of the Cosplay Cantina, the Cosplayer of the Month award. But we do have our September recipient. Woo. And take a look at Stephanie, and these guys are looking at Stephanie on their screens right now. I Facebooked photos of them. We all voted on Stephanie, but she is a really talented cosplayer. She likes to use the word bloody in her writing, which cracks me up. But what you can do is you can find her on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We posted one of the first 4 images that we'll post of Stephanie, and she does a really, really great Rey cosplay. In fact, she has a couple of photos that she's taken that are the backgrounds from the Last Jedi promotion work with Rey. And
they're spot on.
They're like, really spot on.
When you sent me these pictures, I at first was like, "Wait, why? What? Like, are these like new photos?" But like, I was really confused. You gave no context to when you sent these.
Well, because I was like, "Dude, just guys, look at this."
And I was like, "That's how good it is," because I legitimately had no idea what was going on or like why these pictures were being sent to me.
And that's the cool thing is a lot of the people that have sent in their cosplays.
They've been really good.
Yeah, we really appreciate.
There's a lot of them too.
David was going through the submission folder that we have in our inbox.
I didn't want to pick.
He's like, wait, this many people reached out to us? Yeah, people actually like pay attention and they want to, it's cool. So, so Stephanie is selected, and I'm just going to give you a little update about who she is. She obviously loves Star Wars. She is Rey in the Rebel Legion and has been trooping as Rey for more than a year now. And she really likes how Star Wars has brought more empowering, strong women into their narrative, and especially with Leia. She found her home in Rey that she hadn't had prior, and she saw herself as a sandy scavenger. Anyways, she also includes the character inadvertently gave her a family and a group of friends that she would never have even dreamed of having otherwise, and she considers herself very lucky to be part of such a brilliant community. I think it's beautiful that so many young girls are going to be able to grow up in a world where a female can wield a lightsaber or fly a ship. It's bloody amazing, really. You know what, Stephanie? I think you're bloody amazing. Thank you so much for sending in your cosplay and your bio to us. And guess what? You're our September Cosplayer of the Month. So thank you so much. Like I said, find her on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find her as Sparrow Song Cosplay on Instagram. A lot of great photos. Again, a lot of great giving back. A lot of the hugging of the children and inspiring them and having fun. That's always great.
We see a lot of that. A lot of our cosplayers talk about family. They talk about family
and giving back. Yeah, well, it's cool, and we've talked about this before. It's the fact that like cosplay, it's not like just like dressing up like in a Halloween costume. These people make their costumes. They go around. Some of them don't just do movie characters. Characters from the films. They'll create their own Jedi or their own Trooper or their own Sith, and they give them a story, and it's cool. They take it very seriously, and we take it very seriously. It's definitely very cool, and we're very glad that we can continue on our Cosplayer of the Month contest here on Beyond the Blast Doors. Let's jump into the Fan Comlink. Time to hear from our other fans, and look at this. Star Raptor has a great question for us this week, and Nick, I'm going to start with you. What is your favorite Clone Wars arc from the Clone Wars series? This could be episodes or seasons 1 through 5, even the Lost episodes, season 6.
You better not pick mine.
Oh, this is tough. It's got to be an Ahsoka related one, obviously.
Well, I'm thinking of one that I think I know the one you're going to pick, but I'm not going to say it.
I've only watched Clone Wars once, like the full series once, so I really don't know. Come back to me.
All right, we're going to come back, but I'm not going to say it because I know what he's going to pick, so it's going to be fine. David, what's your favorite arc?
So I finally finished it, and I've watched that 2004 movie. 2008 movie.
Good job.
And I didn't like that movie. But the end of Series 5, the last story arc they had was the one where Savage Opress and Darth Maul kind of team up. They gather forces from all the local
tribes.
Clans.
Clans.
Is that the terminology?
Yeah.
And they basically take over Mandalore. And it's badass, and
Okay.
I love that. And I don't like the fact that Maul is back, but man, did they make some great episodes.
And they bring back Palpatine comes in there, kills Savage.
That's the best episode, when he just like feels that tremor in the Force, comes back and just has this like 20-minute lightsaber duel, and just wrecks them.
I'm trying to think. That's not Eminence. Eminence is one of those episodes, but I know that arc that you're talking about, and it's incredible.
I don't know what the titles of the episodes
Well,
are.
it's
That
also
is
great because you're getting
by far
Obi-Wan
my
Kenobi
favorite.
and Satine teaming up, and they're going through that whole thing.
Yep.
Maul kills Satine with the dark saber, a creation from the mind of George Lucas. Nick, how are you doing?
I don't know.
You're still thinking?
This is tough.
Okay, so I thought
I'm
you were
trying-
gonna pick the very last one with her because it's the fact
I
that
mean,
she gets
I liked
bent
it a
over,
lot.
she's on the run, she has to team up with Asajj Ventress.
Like, let me put it this way. I love it so much, and I really think it is my favorite. The problem is it makes me so sad because that's like her swan song in, well, Clone Wars.
But it's so well done.
I know, I probably, like, that is probably my favorite, but it just makes me so sad.
I didn't want you to pick the one with the blue shadow virus. You know, the guy that was building the virus in the labs underneath Naboo's surface.
Yeah, that was like
his underground laboratory.
Was it season 1 or 2?
Season 1 or 2.
First 2 seasons didn't catch my interest, but 3, 4, and 5 were just.
Well, and now you're through first season of Rebels.
I am.
And I think the shift in your tone about that series drastically changed in just that 14 episodes.
Of Rebels?
Oh yeah, you were really into that season finale.
I was.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm learning that it takes a couple episodes for these people to figure out how to write the characters and how to start, like, how to have them work with each other.
You're also dealing with a group of characters you don't know anything about. These are all new characters.
Know about them.
Oh, you want to know about them?
I do.
How do you feel about Fulcrum?
I'm really excited about Fulcrum.
Yeah, you are.
I totally called it though yesterday, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, and I did not look it up online.
You didn't?
I didn't.
I'm proud of you.
You told me you'd be mad at me if I did.
Hey, well, I'll ask you this. I should have asked you earlier in the show, but you're reading the Ahsoka novel. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So my favorite arc in the Clone Wars would have to be. Damn. My favorite. I can't do the entire last season.
Anything with Zora the Hutt? Is that the dude's name?
Zero?
Zero?
No. I like that episode where he dies finally. His estranged hooker shoots him. That was a really great moment in Star Wars storytelling. The thing with the really long snout, that's how I would describe her. No, I really liked how they explained Order 66 being like that chromosome. Not chromosome, but it was like a chip that was implanted. I really enjoyed that arc because I like going back to Kamino. You know, and now I mentioned that arc where they go, where the Separatists go to Kamino and they try and steal the DNA of the clones. I always liked that one because, again, you went back to Kamino. You got to see Kamino under attack. And then it was one of those episodes that was really showing the individuality of the clones.
But I do like Kamino.
Yeah, it's a fun environment, and it was my favorite map to play in all the Battlefront games.
Yeah.
It really was. But I will pick that Order 66 description, that first arc in season 6.
That's a good one.
And then my second one has to just be those last couple episodes with Yoda, because you're really diving into the lore and understanding the Force. You know, there's the episodes where we go to when we meet the son and the daughter, and we learn about the Force, you know, and the balance there, and the foreshadowing with Anakin becoming Darth Vader. I mean, that was the stuff that George Lucas really wanted to do, that there was no way in hell he could have done in the movies. And so it was really cool to see that fleshed out. And then, yeah, it bums me out that we're not going to get the rest of season 6. We don't get season 7 to know what more they were going to do. They were going to bring in Bane. They were going to bring in Darth Bane. And they were going to bring in all this other EU stuff. And that we're not going to be able to tackle.
You know, having finished the series now, I can see why our missing friend Jesse is so excited by the Mandalorians, by the Clone Wars. I really, like I said, the first couple seasons didn't capture my attention, but the last 3 or 4 just really, really, I mean, that's Star Wars to me now. That's beautiful.
Okay, I misspoke. Darth Bane was in Clone Wars, but there were other, I don't think it was Darth Malak. There were other Sith Lords that they were going to bring in. So I want to make sure I correct myself so that someone doesn't post later on YouTube in the comments that I didn't know what I was talking about, because I'm admitting that I made a mistake and I corrected myself.
Yeah, he was in the Yoda episode, right? In season 6?
Yeah.
And like a flash, like a vision type thing?
So there you go. Yeah. Well, it's late, and I just butchered the arc that I thought was my second favorite. It's okay. I'm not a perfect person, just like the song. Let's go ahead and jump into Stay on Target. By the way, thanks to everybody who submitted their questions this week. Always appreciate that. If you have questions that you want to have us answer or discuss, be sure you tweet us at BTBD_podcast on Twitter, hashtag Beyond the Blast Doors. Staying on target, it's the last segment of the show. We're closing in here on an hour. And David, we're going to start with... No, screw you, David. I'm going to start with Nick. Nick, you're beautiful. How are you doing? What's your Staying on target?
I'm really tired.
You really tired?
That whole discussion about favorite arc in Clone Wars just kind of makes me want to rewatch Clone Wars. So I think I'm just going to pick a season and just start from scratch.
You know who owns all the episodes on Blu-ray?
We have them all.
Can we do this journey together? Because I just did this with David, and I'll do it again with you.
Oh, boy. I can do that. That's probably fine.
Okay, wonderful. Hey, David?
Yeah?
Before Disney makes its stupid streaming service.
Well, that's why you buy these things on Blu-ray, so you don't have to worry about Disney yanking their stuff from Netflix. What do you have your targeting systems on?
Oh, let's see. I just built my Yoda Star Cruiser Lego set.
The Starfighter from Revenge.
Yeah, so now I'm on the hunt for a... no, it's the last
the last wave. It's actually the Starfighter from those episodes in Clone Wars. Yeah.
So I guess I want to reread the Darth Vader number 5 because it was really good, and I want to find a Porg plushie. 2 Porg plushies because that way they don't get lonely.
True.
How's that Ahsoka novel going?
Pretty good. I've read like the first couple pages.
Great.
She's in it.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so my thing on target. Oh, you're so obnoxious. My thing on target is, I feel like I talk about this every week. I don't even know what gesture you just made under the table. James Arnold Taylor, voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi and the voice of like hundreds of characters in animation, does those Clone Wars conversations, and he just did a 2-part interview with Matt Lanter, who's the voice of Anakin on Clone Wars, and it's just really fantastic. Part 1 came out about a week ago. And it's like half with Matt, and then the other half is with a surprise guest. And I won't ruin that for you, but it's definitely worth watching. Hint, hint. It's the voice of Padme. And then the second episode just dropped. The second part just dropped within the last 24, 48 hours. So I'm going to give that a watch. Haven't yet, but it's been really great. I think James Arnold Taylor does a really good job of, when he interviews them, he does a really good job of making it about themselves. He really doesn't try and make it about himself. And the humor they're able to interject, because they'll be having a serious conversation, and the next thing you know, he's doing his Obi-Wan voice, and then Matt talks like Anakin anyway, so it's just kind of fun. It's really entertaining, and if you're a hardcore Star Wars fan, you really like the Clone Wars, you'll really enjoy that, so check that out. We'll put that in our description below to help you out.
Can I be greedy and add a third thing to my Staying on Target?
Well, you already had 7, but go ahead.
Well, I wanted to know more about the standalone Obi-Wan movie that's coming out.
Yeah, we haven't got anything other than...
They're doing it.
They're possibly doing it. We still don't have a confirmation from Lucasfilm.
Well, that's what I want to stay on target because I'm excited.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
I am.
You're okay? You right there, buddy?
Yeah.
Are you you're a little emotional right now.
I'm very excited.
Okay, yeah. I can tell you're like gleaming with excitement right now.
It's a little twinkle in my eye.
All right, yeah. A little shine, a little shimmer.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so that's going to do it for episode 9. I have no idea what the hell just happened.
9?
Oh, wait, 9? This is 16.
Come on, you're just making jokes how we're closer to 25 than we are to...
Or 9 away from that if we don't...
Maybe that's where we got your 9. Alright, touche.
Hey, you know what? It's an episode, and it's in the books. As always, thanks for watching. You're probably listening or watching. Maybe you're watching on YouTube, listening on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. Know that you can find us on all those platforms that I just mentioned.
Hey, nice shirt, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, TeePublic, they sell them. You bought one that didn't fit.
Yeah, my mom got one of those like weird, different types of T-shirts.
Okay.
I didn't like it.
All right.
I'm getting another one.
Okay, bigger one?
Probably same size, just different material.
Oh, okay.
She didn't like hers either.
Nick, do you have a shirt yet? Do you want a shirt?
All I wear is SpaceX t-shirts.
No, yeah, okay. All right, that's fine.
That's your blue one, too.
Well, if you want a shirt, we'll have the link down below, as always. tpublic.com. You can check out our storefront, get a shirt, and part of the proceeds goes to helping us, and the majority of the money goes to the company that sponsors the shirt, because that's capitalism, folks. That's the world we live in. That's going to do it for episode 16. Thank you so much for checking us out, and be sure you stay with us on the channel. A lot of exciting things are going to be unfolding in the next couple of weeks. A lot of videos about to drop. We'll see you soon.
I'm so tired.
Is that your youth medium shirt that you're wearing?
No, this is my normal medium.
Gotcha.
My youth medium, it's just like it's a croc top.
Are you playing one more round of Battlegrounds though?
Couldn't believe you could fit in that
One
shirt.
more like 8.
Oh really? Okay, so we're
I'm
gonna watch
not
that.
sleeping